nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Thank you all for coming today to the March meeting of the Clinton County Council. I am going to, Jeff, if you would pass down some things. Got busy talking and didn't get that done ahead of time. Got a set of 3 sets here. Okay.
Those are 2 different ones?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, there's three
Oh,
things.
do you need a copy, Brett, or should I leave
This is
these
from
for
yesterday.
Carol?
This is yesterday's
Oh,
email.
you can leave them for Carol.
That's the
Thank
final versions that we have to
Okay.
consider.
Yeah.
Okay. First up, some administrative tasks. We'll begin with the approval of the February meeting minutes. Jeff, did you happen to have a
Yeah,
chance
I
to
read those
review
over and a great job of recording. I didn't see any problems, so I'll make a motion they be approved.
Second.
A motion by Jeff, a second by Joe to approve the February 13th meeting minutes. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0 with Mary abstaining. Community Corrections Report. Brett Barton. Good morning.
This morning, we have 88 clients on our program. 3 are juveniles, we have 3 on pretrial release, and we still don't have anybody on the CTP program. I did have an officer resign last week, and I'm gonna bring that in front of the commissioners next week, the next 30 days. Finishing up my grant, one thing I am asking for this year is a licensed addictions counselor. I doubt if I'll get it, but it does shed some light, sort of give some clarity to the state on our struggles with our CMHC currently, so just want to get that out there. Finishing up our JRAC report for the state, I'll bring that to my board early. I have been given the task of dispersing some opioid money that we received, and I'm in charge of our housing, so I'm getting the word out to everybody in the recovery community. There is a little bit of money that we can help with as far as housing. I've probably talked to close to 10 landlords locally and let them know what we want to do, how we're going to let these people and try to help them out. The goal is to get it all on the deposit side, so we can kind of recycle that money. Once they do move out, landlords can give that money back to us and we can help other individuals with that.
And that's referencing an additional appropriation that we'll consider later on in our list of additionals. So I'd ask Brett to speak to that. So, any questions for Brett?
All good.
Okay. Thank you, Brett.
Thank you.
Nancy Ward, probation update.
Good morning.
Morning.
Oh my, not sure what happened last month with juvenile, but I don't think 2024 is going to be a good year for juvenile costs. We had a young lady that was on probation last year for battery with a weapon and criminal mischief, and then she had a violation for new charges for criminal confinement as a level 3 felony, intimidation as a level 5 felony, domestic battery, residential entry, resisting law enforcement, and battery. And she had a violation and she never showed up for her hearing. And the judge issued a writ, and that was last November, and then she disappeared. And she showed back up in February. So she had some pretty serious charges. And the on-call worker tried 8 different facilities to see if they'd even take a female. And she finally found one in Vincennes, Southwest Indiana Regional Youth Village, that would accept her. And they were $220 a day. So that was why her cost was so far $3,825. And I think she ended up staying into a week into March. So, because she, at her initial hearing, because she has due process just like an adult, she denied her charges. So, but she is now off to girls' school.
Okay.
So, yeah, pretty expensive. There's There's a problem right now with detention centers. Very few are taking females. The costs are really going up, like even Delaware, they won't take females. They're up to $179 a day. Southwest, where this girl was at, they're closing at the end of the month. So they said most likely other detention centers will be, their costs will go up because there's so few left. I know right now we have a young man that was, decided he wanted to set everything on fire. He's sitting in detention in Johnson County. But I think that one is $160 a day. So we have more costs to come, sadly. Yeah, some of these kids are just, we don't have a lot of kids out of control, but the ones that we do, they're pretty serious. A lot of mental health issues.
Nancy, that facility that's closing, is it just they're stopping with the female treatment, or no, they're closing?
They're just closing.
Okay.
I'm not sure the reason. They had been in operation for over 20 years. Right now, it's just hard to get anyone to even work at these facilities.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
And we're finding some of the facilities we do use, the staff that they have are not the best. A lot of kids we have in like some mental health facilities, short-term mental health facilities, and it's just even hard to get information out of them. So we're trying to go that route with a lot of the kids that, if we can get them, if they have mental health issues, get them into some short-term mental health residential facilities and maybe get them into state hospitals before we have to get them into, try to avoid detention or boys or girls school. Try to get them
Yeah.
some other help.
Nancy, while you're up there, if you wouldn't mind, you and I chatted there before the meeting real briefly. You had received a new Justice Recovery Grant, and we have several additional appropriations as you put that into line items. Can you just talk briefly to the full council about that and kind of get us up to speed on?
Okay, that's Fund 8111, that's the Justice Response Addictions Grant. So I received a little bit over $90,000 for that grant. The second part of that grant is, last year we received opioid settlement money, and that would be that line item with the 0015. So we didn't use all of that money last year. So I did an additional appropriation back into that 0015 line item so we could use the rest of that this year.
And that's what I wanted her to explain. You'll see there's two sources of the funds there. One's the new grant, and then the other is the rollover from last year's unused money. So just to be clear on that.
Right, so the first few pages first additional should be for the new grant, which should add up to 90,000. And the other is the unused opioid settlement.
All right.
So does that answer?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Yep, thank you.
I think
Okay,
that's,
any questions for Nancy? Thank you.
thanks.
Nancy.
All right, moving on to new business. First item up, Morgan Maldonado, the library director for the Clinton County Contractual Public Library. We have a couple of appointments from the council to that board, and well, I'll turn the floor over to you.
Yep. Hello, thanks for having me here. So we would like to ask the council to reappoint Flossie Swearingen and Mike Brackett. So Flossie Swearingen was actually finishing the term of Esmeralda Cruz, so now she's eligible for her first full term. We think she's doing a great job, and we'd like to keep her. Mike Brackett he's eligible to be reappointed for his second four-year term. And so we've had him for a little while too, and would like to keep him. So if you had any questions, I could try to answer those.
I have a question, but it's
Yeah.
to Janet. Janet, do you know, was that among the highlighted positions that we did when we did our appointments in January? Since we would have known that that was expiring. Do you know whether we've already voted to renew?
I do not.
Okay, well then, to remove all doubt, let's vote again to reappoint Michael Brackett and Flossie Swearingen to the the Clinton County Contractual Library Board. Does anybody have any questions before we move on? So I'd need a motion to approve those.
Motion.
Okay, a motion by Joe, second by Mary to approve. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 6-0.
And can I clarify something? They're actually on our Frankfurt Community
Okay, I'm
Public
sorry.
Library Board and the Clinton County Contractual
Okay.
Library Board. So those two positions are actually on both.
Okay.
If that makes a difference.
Yep.
All right.
Well, let's make sure we catch that for the minutes, that it's for both boards. Thank you, Morgan.
Thanks, Morgan.
Okay, now we have a couple of CF1s, the tax abatement annual reporting forms for some projects that the council had awarded abatements for many years ago, in most cases. But Jay Moore is here to speak to those. And Jay, I'll turn the floor over to you. And if you don't mind, we'll start with the Bailey Trucking
Yes,
forms.
that's the warehouse facility that Bailey constructed in 3 phases for the use by NHK. And that NHK will be, they're in the process of leaving that this into this month. And I'll have a conversation later today with another person, another local industry that might be moving into that facility. But it has obviously been a important part of NHK's ability to grow and expand and meet its ability to provide seats to Subaru. And there was a question about
Yeah, why don't you run through that
the
timeline?
2012 project was not completed until April of 2013. I'm not sure, whether the assessment date, we used to assess as of March 1, now we assess as of January 1, but in any event, the completion wasn't until April of 13, so it would not have hit full
Assessment, yeah.
full assessment until 2014. So 14 pay 15. You'll see this year. I've always questioned whether, since you're getting it in 15, you should come back and report or not. The statute's not real clear on that. But anyway, this is basically the last year for it.
Okay.
Then the 2015 project, which didn't complete until December of 15, will start. In other words, its first assessment date was January of 16, so it'll run through 26.
Right.
As you can see, Bailey, in terms of its employment, has exceeded both in payroll and numbers its promises, and so I think it's been a successful project for the community, a successful project for Bailey, and it's certainly a successful project for NHK. And we hope we find a new tenant who will continue that.
Yeah, Bailey's been a real success story for the community, and so
Yeah.
I'm going to have you stop there, and I want to vote on the 2 Bailey CF1s here first before we move on to NHK. So there's 2, one for the 2012 project, one for the 2015 project. We need to vote that they're in compliance with their abatement obligations, and I think that they obviously are, and I would entertain a motion to approve. Motion by Mary to approve the CF1.
I'll second.
Second by Todd. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 6-0. Okay, so Jay, if you'd continue with NHK.
Yes, NHK has 2 projects. One is the 2017 project, which is a sub-assembly and warehousing facility that they built on their own, on land they bought from Bailey. And that project, has been, again, it was a necessary step for them to meet their space problems that they had. and allow them to continue to grow and meet the needs of Subaru. And again, they've grown there substantially over they went from 549 employees, now they're at 812. When they started the project, they were just shy of 26 million in payroll, and now they're almost 41.5 million in payroll. You can sort of look at that. I'll shift over to the new plant now. And the new plant, obviously, solved a lot of problems for them in terms of meeting their space needs and their production capacity. They were at 798. They're now at 812. They haven't added the total numbers that we anticipated. I think but they've increased their payroll still by almost $3.5 million, which is very significant. And I know that the supply chain issues have lingered, and they're really not NHK's supply chain issues, is my understanding. It's more in the electronics in those areas, I think, for Subaru, which has slowed down. There's been days when there wasn't production at Subaru, even though I think Subaru still, I think their demand is such they're having trouble keeping up with all their production.
Yeah.
So, but again, I think everything there is in the long run is good. I think that you're going to continue to see NHK grow, and they've made a huge investment in our community, which has also made a lot of other things possible.
Yeah, it sure has. Well, for those of you that come to council meetings on a regular basis, you know I've said this many times in succession when these reports come before the council, that this is the poster child for how it's supposed to work for the tax abatement process, a public-private partnership that results in a growing business that started as something small and is now the second largest employer in the county. I would also add to your comments, Jay, if you look at the assessed value of the project towards the bottom right of the numbers there, it says $18,072,000. You know, this abatement that we're approving here was a 40% abatement. So the county's earning tax return on 60% of $18 million. So I mean, it's been a win-win all the way around, and we just really appreciate being in the community.
And your land value went from whatever it is was as farm ground to what. It's probably at $50,000 an acre.
At least.
At least.
Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about assessed value.
Yeah.
So
again, I would, obviously clearly in substantial compliance, and I would entertain a motion to approve the two NHK.
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion by Todd.
Second.
By Mike to approve both the 2017 and the 2020 projects. All those in favor, raise your right hand. The motion carries 6-0. Jay, thank you.
Thank you.
I assume you're going to leave forms to be signed then?
Yeah.
I have them.
You got them? Okay, we'll do that after the meeting if that's
Yeah.
okay.
I'll swing by auditors later today.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, next up, we have a couple of, let's reset real quick. Last month, the council approved our new job classification and administration system, and as a part of that, we set up a committee that was to review any potential changes and future adjustments that would be needed to the job descriptions that we had already approved. And so we've got the first things that we need to adjust today, and these were, quite frankly, already kind of in the works that we were talking about and hadn't gotten settled by the time that we did the overall batch of job description approvals. So I think, Jordan, you were going to kind of speak on behalf of that committee to walk us through. We've got 3 positions that need adjustments to the job description forms, and that's what I passed out right at the beginning of the meeting, so you have the revised descriptions in front of you.
Good morning. I think there's 4, actually.
Warren's right.
Well, we were told that one got pulled, the clerk's one got pulled.
Clerk got pulled?
She called me and wanted to wait till April.
Okay,
I don't.
So I
All
think
right.
maybe there's a further adjustment needed or something.
fair enough. So we got 3.
So we got 3.
So as Alan touched on last month, you guys adopted the policy to have the committee that has Jeff, Todd, and Carol and myself on it. Obviously, Carol's out of town. So Todd, Jeff, and I were able to kind of have a conversation and make some recommendations. I'll just go through all 3 of them. The first one would be the jail training supervisor. It's approve as is. The second is the courthouse security supervisor, which we have one minor change to that. It's just a word change. It says responsible for overseeing all aspects of security at the courthouse. The committee's recommendation is responsible for overseeing assigned aspects at the courthouse. So simple fix there. And then the last one is with the public health nurse, tuberculosis and communicable disease position. This one may require a little bit more discussion. Rodney's here, so I'm sure he'll want to speak on it, but Wagner's recommendation was to drop the terminology public health nurse and to just call it tuberculosis and communicable disease specialist. That is the same recommendation that the committee would have for council as well. We think that more accurately reflects the duties and job descriptions as well as the requirements for the job than having that terminology. So those would be the recommendations from us. I don't know if the other 2 would like to add any other info to it.
No, that's fine.
If anyone
I'm
else
good,
wants to-
Jordan.
wants to speak. So,
I guess, and just to be clear, Wagner reviewed and,
yeah, this is,
yeah.
some of these are newer, as you mentioned. Typically, the committee's will gather multiple job descriptions, we'll meet, we'll allow the department heads to come, we'll have a conversation. This one was a little more rushed because we were trying to get them all in front of you guys, so it didn't have to wait till April's meeting, didn't have to call a special meeting. So from a time standpoint, all of them had conversation behind the scenes before this committee was formed
Right.
and had that discussion from our HR representative as well as department heads to get to this final point. So
Okay, very good.
so, I think that's all that I have on that, unless there's any other.
Any questions for Jordan first?
No.
Okay. Rodney?
I'm not aware of what you're referring to. The last discussion I had with Cecily and Lori, was that public health nurse is a general term, and that we required to use a job description. She reported it had to be an RN, and we proved for this concept that it had to be an RN and LPN. And the last word I heard from Cecily was, I have an email that
So the one we received had it highlighted in yellow, and that's where they had the discrepancy. That,
highlighted in yellow is me, making sure that we're tracking our changes.
I talked to Lori on Friday about it as well.
So I'm not privy to that information.
So-
The last discussion I had with her was that she concluded public health nurse is a general term. All the local health departments in the state of Indiana refer to an LPN or an RN as public health nurse. And that there shouldn't be any reason that this position should be listed.
Okay, that's different than the info that was provided to us. So I guess you got 2 options. We can either take our recommendation, or we can circle back with them, but then you'll have to wait till they want to call a special meeting, or,
Can we, there's nothing in the body of the job description that's,
no, the body's fine.
The actual review and change was because it was originally listed as minimum specification RN, and when we hired an LPN, I was required to make.
well, now let me back up. I realize that change was made. We basically took that RN was required to be,
Yes.
because we didn't get RNs applying for the position. So we've changed that. So that's not what I mean. But I mean, what I guess I am saying is
It's
that
just the title.
the job requirement section of this is accurate.
Correct.
That you've agreed on, the committee's agreed on, and Wagner's agreed on. The only thing that we're not sure about is the title of the position.
Correct.
So what I'd like to do is at least approve the job description so that we know that that's been approved and is accurate, and then I'm willing to come back and circle around on the on the title discussion at a different time, but let's at least get the accurate,
Well, or you could approve it, approve the body of it, because it has to come back next week to the commissioners.
Okay.
So that will give us time to circle back with Lori to kind of make sure that everything jives, because like I said, she called me Thursday or Friday, and she said that the yellow part was where there was still disconnect, but she felt like at this point that needed to get in front of the committee to decide. So that was the last conversation I had
I'll
there.
show you the email where she said
So-
there's nothing in state code or elsewhere that requires it to be an RN. Thus, she said she didn't see any problem with it being
Okay.
held.
So, but that'll give us time to decide on
My
the,
concern is I'm having to pay this out of another fund in the meantime.
that's why to me, this would at least get that part
yeah, you can.
in place, and then we could follow back up with the title work, so to speak, later.
Yeah, I
Well-
thought that was already decided between us and WIS.
Yeah, that was different than what was reported to myself, so.
She should have conveyed that to us.
So, yeah, just approve it as is with the commissioners to make final decision on the title.
I'm perfectly fine with that if the.
Because that'll be
the
next
council
week, and we
is.
can,
That's
that gives
fine.
us
I already
this
know
week.
I have to come back before you.
Yeah, so
I guess, yeah, with the council agreeing to the decision made by the commissioners with regard to title,
yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that. If that works for
Yeah,
everybody else.
yeah,
Does that work
yeah,
for
I'm
you
fine-
guys
I'm
as
fine
the
with
committee
that.
members? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. But I'm sorry, but yeah, I thought that was the recommendation because that was something about the state saying if it says nurse,
It's not correct.
because when I think of nurse,
Nurse is a nurse.
I think of an RN, that's when I think of
Well,
nurse,
no,
so I
that's-
just,
Yeah, that's a licensed practical nurse.
okay,
Our health officer's position is that is a nurse that's working for public health, so therefore that is a public health nurse. No other health department really makes that differentiation. It's sent along a current ZipRecruiter ad for Tippecanoe County who's asking for either an RN or LPN as the public health nurse. So again, that's a general term.
okay.
It's not a specific term. It's a term for anyone who's a nurse who works in public health.
I would think to some degree, a registered nurse is going to disagree that they're on the same level.
Sitting beside me.
I live with one. No, I mean, we can go back and forth on that all day. Like,
Well, this is why I want, let's
General term.
let's approve the part that we're all in agreement on, and I'll
Yeah.
let this group that we have created for just this type of a situation do what it's supposed to do, so, and then
I
we'll.
make a
defer-
motion
So you're making the motion to approve the public.
to approve everything but the title.
Well, before you do that, I want to, Sheriff, do you want us, anything with regard to the other two? You good there on those? Okay, okay. So now, well, we can entertain all three of those.
Okay.
So, all right, so no, I want to hear your motion again.
Well, I'm going to approve the security supervisor and the training supervisor and the description of the duties of everything about the public health nurse, except for that title.
Okay, which we
And
will
we'll
agree
circle
to
back.
defer to
Yes, that's
the
right.
title selected
Yeah.
by the commissioners for that job description. Everybody clear on what we're voting on?
Yes.
Okay, any questions, comments, or deliberation? Okay, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 6-0.
Was it me and Joe?
Yeah, Joe, I'm sorry, yeah, Joe had the second. Okay, thank you, good discussion. Jordan, I need to have you come back up, because the next item is the discussion that we started last month and tabled with regard to the courthouse and annex security and how we want to handle that. And just to maybe reset the stage, the way we left that was that there was a courthouse security committee that was going to convene, and we as a council were going to wait for a recommendation from that committee on moving forward. And so with that, as the setup, Jordan, I'll turn it to you.
the committee hasn't met yet, so we're kind of still in the same position in regards to discussion of the future of here, as well as lumping the annex into it. Now, I think there is a little bit of separation because the annex is different from the courthouse. Now, obviously, we talked last month, same thing, that I think there's value in the committee because it has stakeholders from a lot of different areas of the security aspect involved in it to hear that discussion and see what direction going forward. So hopefully that committee can meet soon, but I think still waiting for a few people to respond back. Judge Muller's kind of organizing it, and there hadn't been enough participation for us to get together. So I don't know, do you want me to say any more on it, or if that kind of summarizes where?
No, I think that
what's-
summarizes where we are.
Yeah. So,
I will give the sheriff an opportunity if you'd like to speak to that, because you weren't able to be here at last month's meeting when we had the initial discussion, if there's anything you'd like to add from your perspective.
I agree. It's going to take, sitting with the committee and kind of deciding where and what the functions would be, if there's going to be, the type of security or what the commissioners want at that building. I'm okay with waiting until the committee convenes. It's two positions that we have the ability, because we have it approved, and we can wait, and the build on the building is delayed, so we're looking at 25, I think, before it even opens. So with that, we've got, I think, plenty of time. We can have those discussions and fill those positions as needed, or, change it to whatever the commissioners at that side of the building, whatever they think they need at that point. So I think we have time to meet and discuss how to put it together and when they're going to be needed. As far as the security here at the courthouse, it's really, it's something where the judges go, we'll go. And that's kind of, we're assigned to that through state statute, that, if the judges are in that building, if there's changes, we will have to be there. But as far as the every day after 25, I think we have plenty of time to think about that. And we've already planned for the position, so I think we're okay on that.
I'd like to maybe propose one change on how we handle this versus last time. If you'll recall last time, so we have two items in our additional appropriations, both last month and again this month. One was to remove the annex security from the sheriff's budget, and there was another one to add some money to the commissioner's budget. Both of those are for a project that we know we don't need it for this year.
That's right.
We're not going to be done in calendar year 2024. I would propose that we just go ahead and remove the funding from the sheriff's budget for this year. We don't add anything to the commissioner's budget, and we just reset. And then, quite frankly, this is a 2025 budget discussion at this point. So since we now know that the building is not going to be done in 2024, I think our thinking at the time, looking back to last September, was that we were expecting the building to be done October the 1st. So we knew we needed some money somewhere, and I think we were just putting a placeholder in. I don't think we need that placeholder anymore. So rather than going through the exercise of denying those two, and again this month, I think I would deny the one on the commissioner's side, approve the reduction in the sheriff's budget, set us back to ground zero, have the discussions with the committee to figure out what direction we want to go, and then do an appropriation that makes sense at that time. Would be my recommendation. I run that by you guys to see. I'd feel better if I had head nods that you're okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I think it's something that we'll have to address starting June, July
Yes.
anyway. So,
Yeah.
I have no issue with that.
Okay.
We'll address it on the needs of what the commissioners need over there.
Okay. All right. Very good. Okay, so with that, we'll come to those, I guess, when we get to the additional appropriation part of the meeting agenda. But good discussion. We'll get that committee together and hopefully have a report to the commissioners or to the council soon. Okay, that does bring us to the additional appropriations portion of the meeting for this month's slate. If you'll give me a minute to get to the right spot. Okay. Beginning in the general fund, this was the first one is related to that annex security. So this is the $50,000 that was requested that we moved to the commissioner's line that we just discussed about. Let's deny this one. We'll deal with a more specific and logical and committee recommended appropriation at a future date. So I would entertain a motion, first of all, to deny the $50,000 for annex security in the commissioner's budget.
Motion made.
Okay, I have a motion by Jeff for the denial. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. I think I saw Todd's hand first there, Mike. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 6-0. From Parkview Home, $329.60. We sold some scrap metal from the facility. This is appropriating that money back to the repairs line, building repairs line item. Community Corrections from the CTP program. I'm sorry, CTP program. $202 to Brianna's Hope to help support that program. From the Cume Courthouse Fund, $1,725. This is from Nickel Plate. We take care of plowing the snow from that parking lot that our county employees use, and then they cost share with us for the portion that their residents use, and so we receive from them $1,725 as a reimbursement for snow removal. This next one is the Local Emergency Planning Committee, known as LEPC, and Rodney and Renee are both heavily involved with that, and each year they come to us, and this is essentially appropriating that committee's entire budget for the year. So that's $500 for supplies, $500 for stationery and printing, $5,000 for emergency planning, $1,500 for meeting stipend, $8,000 for training, $100 for postage, $1,500 for seminars, $7,204.46 for equipment, and $200 for computers and peripherals, for a total of $24,504.46. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, that's appropriating the entire balance that we have.
Yes.
We don't ever spend all of that, but that puts it in a place that we could use it if we needed it. Okay. So that's the LEPC budget for 2024. From Lit Public Safety, this is the reduction. Did I miss one?
No.
I must have flipped my page too quick because I don't have it in. Oh, the reduction's at the back. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was going by the ordinance. The reduction is the amount for the courthouse security that we just discussed, $100,496. From Community Corrections, Misdemeanor, $700 for a mini police academy for kids this summer, working with the Learning Network. Recorder's Perpetuation Fund, we had an appropriation in that fund for binding of books, binding and repair of books. We came up just a little bit short, so the recorder's asking for an additional $200 to finish the repair of the, in this case, the Platt books, Platt Book 1. Next up is the new grant that Nancy referred to, the, oh, I'm sorry, I skipped one. Community Corrections, the part that Brett referred to for housing, $4,150. This is going to be to help those that are battling through the recovery process, work with landlords, local landlords, that maybe we can front the deposit money for those people to help get them into some recovery housing. And then as Brett said, we would hopefully, when those deposits are returned, we can reinvest it and repeat the process. Surveyor's Office, we get several of these during the year. These are some more of those drainage tax funds from other counties where the drainage district spills over from Clinton County into surrounding counties, but the majority of the district is in our county, so we are the administrating county, and those other counties refund or send the money to us from the portion they collect. $1,171.68 from Tipton County for the Leslie Johnson watershed. $523.20 from Carroll County for the Jackson Lip watershed. $223.32 for the John Milner watershed, again from Carroll County. $144.20 from Tippecanoe County for the Arborist Young watershed. Sheriff's Sale Administration Fund, $4,000 to cover the sheriff's sale cost, the cost of administering the sale, $4,000. From Veterans Affairs, this is to get Joe some money in a line item for him to be able to do any upkeep or repairs at the monument outside the south side of the courthouse, $2,500. This next one is the remaining balance of the funds we have already set aside in our construction fund for the I-65 State Road 28 interchange, the roundabout construction. This is the amount of the money that was not expended as of the end of December, so we're reappropriating it for use in 2024 as they get back to work on that project. $1,518,168.13. So that would be the remaining bond fund balance. Surveyor's office, periodically when an applicant works with the surveyor's office for some permitting, there may be required some professional services where our engineer, Butler, Fairman, and Seifert, reviews a proposal. The applicant then reimburses the county for the fees associated with that professional review. So we have a few of those, $237.10, $394.84, $995.86. And that is all from our user fee fund, but those are reimbursements received from applicants. We'll put it back in the professional services line item. Clinton County Prosecutor's Office, we have an infraction deferral fund that is under the prosecutor's oversight. He's requesting $35,000 from that fund be used to provide law enforcement equipment to our local agencies, and then also $12,405.78 for law enforcement training. Okay, from Health Department, Fund 4909, Medicare immunizations, $3,819, which is recoupment of claims from MedWise. What does that mean, Rodney, recoupment of claims?
So we've been dealing with Medicare payers, and we had a point in time where they were paying for both the vaccine administration fee and they were paying us for the vaccine, which they're not supposed to do. So we've been fighting for almost a year and a half, 2 years, trying to get that corrected, and this is what we owe them as a refund.
Okay.
Because that would be, this is VFC, that's free vaccine, and we told them you can't do that, but
Okay.
we're making this right.
All right, thank you for the explanation. From the Federal Inmate Housing Fund, $982.16 to RQAW for engineering services. And then here's the probation, the several of the probation grant ones. The Justice Response Grant, $3,000 goes to incentives, $2,540 to office supplies, $1,000 to training, $1,000 to community outreach, and then $82,512 to the peer coach position. And then that last one that was the, Nancy, as she explained, was the rollover from last year's opioid fund, settlement funds, $16,984.71 that we're rolling over to the 2024 budget for her use. Okay, I don't have anything else. That's the appropriations ordinance number 2024-06. Any questions, comments, clarifications needed on any of those?
I have a question on RQAW, federal inmate.
Yes, yes.
What was that for?
The jail feasibility study. That was the last.
I think an invoice was lost.
Oh, okay.
Last year, that finally showed up.
You're thinking ambulance building?
No, it was the,
Checking.
yeah, the 900, what was it? What did I say, 982, I think?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that will finish that study.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, with that being said, I entertain a motion to approve ordinance 2024-06.
So moved.
Okay, a motion by Mike to approve the additional
Second.
appropriations, second by Jeff. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 6-0. We have just a couple of transfers that require our approval. Health Department, $2,296 from the immunization nurse position to contractual services. This is transferring excess funds in order to make them available for future contracts. Just kind of reorienting the money. Immunization grant fund, $784 from mileage to supplies and $2,300 from conference fees to supplies. And that is all we have for transfers that require our approval. I entertain a motion to approve
Motion to
those.
approve
Motion
transfers.
by Jeff. I think I had Mary's hand up with the second down there. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 6-0. Your hand was up,
Mine's
right?
up.
Okay, 6-0. Next up, review of the financial report and the budget status report that the auditor provides us each month. We do like to show this as being received in the meeting minutes so that we have documentation for the State Board of Accounts that the auditor is keeping us up to date on where we stand on the budget and our fund balances. So
They have been received and reviewed.
motion by Jeff that those have been received. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Todd. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 6-0. Council reports. Jeff, I believe you had a
Yeah,
report.
I just wanted to say that Councilman Mike Hensley and I were invited into the jail. I wanted to thank the sheriff and the matron for giving us a tour with your head maintenance. And it was a 3-hour tour, and kind of sounds like an old TV show, I remember. But first of all, I want to say it's a very clean building. Yeah, I've never been in one, thank God, but it seems like it's run well. You know, we saw all the clamps and all the home remedies and fixtures, and that stuff doesn't bother me too much because that kind of happens with an older building. And I was just, you know, I wanted to see why a building that was 30-plus years old was just being, you know, it's old compared to Old Stony, I guess. It's just.
It's new compared, yeah. New.
Yeah. It's used rough, and you know, that's the only way to put it. But my main concern right now is their head maintenance man is retiring, and so all that smart stuff that he's done over the years, it's going to be hard for somebody that's a little bit younger. And I'm saying that because when I say a little bit younger, my son is doing what I'm doing, and it just seems like us older guys can fix things easier, and it seems like the younger guys are just going to come and say, I need a new one of these, instead of doing some home remedy. But really, the sheriff that was sitting here, it was really handy that you were there with me, because you remember what the building used to look like. So I'll turn it over to you, Mike.
Well, I think after Jeff and I went through there, I think the thing we kind of agreed on and was that it got a lot of issues that need to be repaired. And I think, you know, Sheriff Kelly has been taking on as much as possible, but there's going to be some that, like the HVAC and some of that's got some big problems. If I remember correctly, I think our QAW, did they do the last check through on that? I think was around 11 million
For a full renovation,
for a
right?
full renovation. So, there's gonna be a lot, and some of that's gonna have to come pretty quick. Because I don't know that it's going to, with a new maintenance guy, where it's going to get to the point of where they're gonna be able to keep repairing the same way as Terry was.
Right.
I think that's our. But other than that, they've added a lot of new equipment there. I think it's to keep up the times, so.
We made some good progress last year with the investment in the windows and we used, if you recall, we put all of that additional bonus money that we got
we saw
from the
that,
income
yeah.
tax, went straight to the, you got more, don't you?
I do. Since we're jumped on the topic, I provided President Brewer, this is the estimate from Apple, which is the upgrade to the computer system that goes with the new chillers and boilers. This is just to change over the electronics portion, the computer operated portion. It does not include the mechanical issues of actuators and other things that make that system all in one. And I
If
think
I remember right, Sheriff, we're running that on like a Commodore 64 or something.
yes, sir.
like that. It's,
And I think Sheriff Hensley
Yeah.
recognized it when we sat down. It was put in there in 1994, and it's been running ever since. And that is what we operate on. And so it's definitely time to pass it on. And, you know, this is, I think the total's 158,310 is the estimate on just the changeover in a computer system, where we, with younger maintenance, younger everything, where it's push button, setting the dates and setting the settings, and that will not solve it all, because we still need to have the actuators, and the actuators are what adjusts the different water valves, the different ductwork vents, things like that, to control the air in the different parts of the building, and you know, and air quality is, you know, something that we have to be concerned with.
okay, I appreciate that. I would add that I've been on that tour as well. And I would encourage the rest of you, well, Joe, you know the building, you don't need to go on to it.
I was there 27
We had one
years.
scheduled, but he wasn't able to.
Yeah,
make
but
it.
but everybody else, I would encourage you, I guess the two of you that are remaining here, and Carol, I know she would probably go as well, but I think that would be helpful to visualize a lot of these things if you could go see that building and look at those facilities.
It does, and, and I appreciate the councilman coming over and taking a look, and it's open every day, and I don't need to be there. We're at a point where Terry is finished at the end of this month. We have one person hired. We have a process to interview 2 people tomorrow for the position, the Terry's position. So it's difficult, and I'm concerned just as well. And with anything, and we see, how things have, with anything. It is what it is. It's 30-year-old building. Probably the next issues that I foresee are going to be the water and drainage of the building, the function of it, things like that. Because with anything you add new equipment, the chillers, the pumps, and everything else, when you add pressure to pipes that have filled and clogged, and I think a lot of you can understand that it's going to create some plumbing issues. So that's probably where we're looking at next. And you open some of the chases, the doors to, we call them water closets, at each pod, and you look in there, and it's like, who designed this? Because there's no way to get in there, and I think Jeff made the comment when we looked at one in Bookend, it's almost an impossibility to get in there and even adjust or tighten without taking everything out and just, so it's, some of the projects upcoming may be pretty hefty, as, Sheriff Hensley says, so. It's going to be difficult, but, just like anything, this is the estimate on the computers. I provided that to the commissioners and to you folks,
Okay.
and I'll let you guys do your work, and we'll figure out where we can get that done.
Okay.
Sheriff, did they repair or fix the locking system? Remember how when it goes to default, all the
Locks open?
Everything's open.
So,
And thank God for the staff, because they're right on top of it, but it puts it default, and and I'm assuming that's some sort of fire issue, who knows, but thank God
we had the
staff-
repairs done on the control board that control that. The locks themselves, we'll probably have to send one of the new maintenance people to a training, and the last time it was offered was about 10 years ago, probably longer than that, maybe 14 years ago, and it's a company in Texas that, and we'll send them down there for the training, but the problem is we're not able to find the parts to replace those 30-year-old locks. So it will come to buying new and placing new locks. Some of the automated locks are, upwards of $5,000 per lock. So, I guess we'll deal with it and handle with it as it comes until, another plan comes to mind.
If you wouldn't mind, the way we handled that last year, and it kind of everything broke our way, but you had made kind of a prioritized list of 3 or 4 things.
Yes.
And when the funding appeared, we were able to knock all of them off. But if you would, obviously, I'm going to assume this is number 1, the one
Yes.
that you just handed to us. But those other things, if you could maybe put together a list for us of what you see the next 2 or 3 beyond that to be,
Absolutely.
I think
We'll do
would be
that.
helpful.
Yeah, and it is helpful, and it was nice, at the end of the year last year, we did knock a lot of those projects out, and, so it's one of those things where we kind of we'll prioritize what we absolutely need and get that to council and to the commissioners.
All right, great. Thank you.
Thank you. I've got one more thing, and
Well, yeah, go ahead, because we haven't gotten to the department heads.
I
Well,
know,
let's
it's-
wrap you up while you're already standing there.
Just to continue the Terry conversation, the auditor and I have spoken about bringing in, because we also, Damian Keene was hired to replace Brian Pollard. Now Terry's retiring, so we need that second maintenance position that we are interviewing for tomorrow. Britt and I spoke about the ability to bring the new person in from tomorrow's interviews before Terry leaves us at the end of the month, and taking that portion out of the part-time custodial, since Miss Cynthia's been off since last Thanksgiving from her heart surgery.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, and follows what we've done in other departments too on those highly specialized jobs. So, yeah,
Yeah.
by all means.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Other than that, really don't have anything. I think we're actually putting in the last pieces of glass over the next couple weeks that, on the repairs, so appreciate everything and thank you for letting us get that.
Just in time from the break of my life.
Yes. Well, and that's like anything. I think our process with our employees is I think stronger than ever. When those get damaged, we are charging the inmates for the, both, with criminal mischief or they're going to have to compensate for the damages they caused to the facility.
I did think of one thing while I've got you. Have you been able to turn in the job description questionnaires for the deputies?
I think Matt Myers, Captain Myers, was supposed to get those either over this week or I don't think he's submitted them yet, but I think
Okay,
they are all done.
okay, let's try to get those in.
Yes.
I think we've got enough time to get them worked in.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So next up is Commissioner's Report. Jordan, anything beyond what we've already talked about? Okay, great. And then department heads, any other department heads need time with the council here today?
Just a real quick here at 10:15-ish, it's Severe Weather Preparedness Week, so we will have a full activation of the tornado sirens in conjunction with the statewide tornado siren testing. And just again, my little plug for, I can't encourage people enough for our Nixle notifications. It's an app now on your phone. It's called Everbridge. It's a free service, but we have those automatic notifications. We no longer have to send them out individually like weather things. We have the connection. So anytime like a severe thunderstorm, tornado watch, warning, those are automatically pushed out to our Nixle notifications as well. But then road closures, 'tis the season.
Yeah.
Those have already started. So just things like that the public needs to be aware of. And then I would also encourage people to get a weather radio at home. Many people anymore, they shut their phones off at night or they silence them. A weather radio is very cheap. It's meant to wake you up. Tornado sirens are meant, they're really old school. They are meant for notifications of people that are outside that would need to go inside to seek information from your TV or radio. Those were pre-cell phone era. But a weather radio, they will activate, you will wake up in the middle of the night, even if you're a hard sleeper, to hear that. And, that's the bad thing, when we have those storms that come through in the middle of the night when people are sleeping.
Yeah.
So just my little plug
Okay.
there on that, so.
I'm
Always-
glad that you brought that up.
Yeah, always
Yeah.
good to have the reminder.
Yeah. So, and Mary came down, I got to meet with her and show her dispatch, and we had a good visit and talked about lots of things, so,
Good.
enjoyed having her down as well.
Great.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for that.
That's pretty neat, isn't it, Mary?
It
Yeah,
is.
It's really.
It is.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Yes.
Anybody else?
They just does a great job.
Yeah, yeah. Rodney?
But trying to stay under the radar in
Well.
one of these meetings. I just wanted to quickly give you an update. Just turned in at the end of February, the state required 2 grants that we've received for years that are legislatively provided to us. They're calendar grants. This will be the final year we're reporting out on the normal budgeting of them because we've opted to go into the Health First Indiana money. The Health First Indiana money replaces these 2 as far as available funding. This is last year's report on what we have expended it on and to what degree, as I've always provided for you. We did a little better on the second grant this year, got 90-some% on each grant as far as the amount that we expended. There is carryover for both. And those would be the things that I'm working now with my board and then I'll have to work with the auditor and the council to utilize that money because obviously that's not going to grow any longer. It's just going to be sitting there. So just wanted to make you aware of that as well. And our board will be looking at those funding and trying to put those to good use as well. There's about $134,000 there. So. But this is our annual report for those 2 grants, so wanted to make you aware of them and if you had any questions at all on them.
I think we've all learned a lot about how the health department works in the last year. It's been good.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's a lot of moving parts and pieces.
Yeah.
Now, again, we've, over the course of the years that I've been here, we've expanded and we did a lot with grants because we had to in order to provide additional services. So the one thing about the Health First Indiana money is, I believe that will ease up some of that grant requirement need and actually have funding immediately available. So we'll be looking at that in the near future here. So.
Okay, great. Thank you, Rodney. Anybody else? I only have one other comment, just as a reminder. So, we've been in communication, but for the benefit of those watching or here, we've referred to in recent months about getting together for a work session to go through the salary survey. And we've also reported that we're trying to update that information to include the 2024 data. And Wagner, Orrin, and Shealy did not have that completed before today. So we postponed, we're going to do our work session on the 21st. Is going to be at 9 o'clock here, from 9 to 11 is our first work session to start reviewing all that salary data. So just to report on why we didn't mention it today, we aren't doing it today. Hopefully have that completed data by then. We will have that completed data by then, but that way we can dive in with the best possible information. So, anybody at all have any need to come before the council? All right. Seeing and hearing none, thank you all for coming. We'll call the meeting adjourned. Not too bad.
Yes.